Hey guys, in this video I want to show you one of the new features I'm really excited about in OTR 2.1. This involves Vienna Ensemble Pro integration. As you are familiar, when you have an instrument track inside of an OTR project, these instrument tracks tend to have a green icon if they are active. If they are disabled, and I just use the disable shortcut, it has this gray icon. And if it's frozen, it will have a frozen icon. It looks like a snowflake in light blue. One of the cool features about OTR version 2.1 is the ability to distinguish which tracks are just standard instrument tracks hosted locally and which tracks are hosted on other Vienna Ensemble Pro servers. Now, there is not a way, strictly speaking, to be able to tell that programmatically from just the track itself. You could probably detect if it had a Vienna Ensemble Pro instance, but that still is not going to tell you what server the instance is connected to. You may have multiple Vienna Ensemble Pro servers. So you may have some instruments hosted on server 1, some on server 2, some on actually the same computer that your DAW is sitting on and just running in the background. So the solution to this in OTR 2.1 is the ability to change the track icons. And when you click on the tracks, and I'm going to just click on several in this particular template, you'll see that right now they're all indicating an active state. Now, these happen to already be set up for Vienna Ensemble Pro. If you are using, if you've used OTR prior to version 2.1, this is just the standard icon. It lets you know that there are plugins that are enabled on the track. What OTR 2.1 allows you to do is actually to highlight the tracks. You can right click and there is a new menu option now where you can change the Vienna Ensemble Pro server assignment. And you can just navigate over. You can choose a generic icon. And when you do this for the first time, it's going to ask you on a track by track basis if the Vienna Ensemble Pro instance is in an enabled or disabled state. And then it will indicate which particular track it is talking about for each of these prompts. So the reason it's asking that is because OTR 2.1 also has built in a couple of different icon states that are just beyond activated and deactivated and frozen. These new states indicate whether it's activated and if the instance is enabled or disabled on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server. The same state would be, or the same could be said for the frozen icon and the inactive icon. So you kind of have these multiple states. We'll get into that in just a minute. For now, let's just assume that all of these instances on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server are currently active. So what this means is when you go to play something on the track, it's going to connect to the Vienna Ensemble Pro server instance and then be able to play back music without having to be enabled or disabled. We're just going to go ahead and click yes for each of these. And you can see that it's asking for each of the tracks we highlighted. So that's why the prompt comes up each time. And what it allowed us to do is to set all of these into an active state. And it set those with the VE icon. That's just the generic icon. Now, if we had done the same thing for this bottom half, but we knew those were already disabled on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server, let's just set them to the generic. And then it's going to ask you again, are these disabled or enabled? But let's just assume that we know that they're disabled. And we're going to hit no on each of these guys. Okay, so you're going to see that this introduces a new icon color. Orange has not been used in OTR before. Orange indicates that the track is active, but it is disabled on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server. So it's a little bit different than green. Green indicates that your plugins are active on the track and that the instance is active. Orange, your plugins are active on the track, but the instance is disabled on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server. So that means if I tried to play something here, I would not get any sounds. That's one way to look at the state of the track. One of the other ways is if we went to disable the track, a standard disabling protocol would be running the disabled shortcut, and then it will turn the track icon gray, very similar to the power icon. It just uses the same color. And you'll notice that in the top left corner, you can see all of the plugins are disabled. Now, there's no way to know whether that actually enabled or disabled the instance on Vienna Ensemble Pro. You have to actually send a special command. OTR ties that together with BOEM. That's talked about in other videos. But for now, in this video, I just want to show you how this indicates right now that the track is disabled in the DAW. It does not indicate whether it's enabled or disabled on the server. Now, in the icons below, or the tracks below, you'll see that the orange icon, the instance is currently, you know that it's disabled on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server. So if we were to actually disable this track, disabling the track will turn the plugins off inside of OTR, but it will also bring about this new color, this gold color. This gold color indicates that the track is in a disabled state on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server, as well as deactivated in OTR. So basically we've introduced two new colors for the active and deactivated tracks. The same could be said for the frozen tracks. And the frozen tracks, they will be blue for a frozen icon, and then they will be an icy purple color for the frozen tracks that have also been disabled on the Vienna Ensemble Pro server. Now, all of that will be talked about in other Vienna Ensemble Pro integration videos. I'm just briefly indicating how the icons work in this particular instance. And one more thing I wanted to touch base on is that if we look at these tracks, you can see that visually they all say the same thing, VE. Now, let's say that we knew some of these were on one particular server, and for the sake of this, let's just call them server 1, server 2, and server 3. So we've got multiple computers running Vienna Ensemble Pro that our project is connecting to. We actually have the ability in OTR 2.1 now to highlight the tracks that we know are on a particular server, right click, change the server assignment, and pick an icon to indicate which server these may be on. Now, this doesn't physically change the Vienna Ensemble Pro server connection, so that's important. What it does do, however, is it gives you a way to set your track up so that you can see exactly what's going on. In this particular case, if I had these icons in my project, I would know that these first 4 tracks in this section are on Vienna Ensemble Pro Server 1. The next ones are on Vienna Ensemble Pro Server 5. The next ones are on the Server 10. And these last 3, I kept the generic icon because maybe those are hosted on a local Vienna Ensemble Pro server. So meaning running in the background on the same computer as my DAW. I've given a lot of flexibility here, up to 16 servers. I think that should cover most people's needs. Again, these are the different icon states. If we were to freeze the track, you'll see that we have a blue icon. And again, if we froze the track, but if it disabled the instance on the server when we froze it, we would get this purple icon. What you're looking at now are the different states of icons for Vienna Ensemble Pro server instances. Again, they correspond to any instrument track. You can't assign just any track to a Vienna Ensemble icon. For example, if I click on the category and I try to assign it, it's going to tell me it is not an instrument track. It cannot be assigned to it. So you can only assign instruments. So the tracks that would host a plugin, basically. So with that said, you've now gotten a crash course on the new icons in OTR version 2.1. I hope you enjoyed this and can make use of these great new features for Vienna Ensemble Pro server integration. Thanks for watching.